What's up, everyone? Dark Scream 217 here, and with me is a special guest, Windsor 321.
Yo,
And today we're going to do another spoiler talk. Didn't bet you didn't see this coming. Of an anime that just recently finished, and I recently finished, and it could be the best anime I've seen 2013. I wouldn't go far and say best anime I've seen 2014, even though half of it did air around that time. It would be Kill la Kill by Studio Trigger. Um, yeah, I kind of already mentioned that I really did like this anime, but Windsor, you start doing all the talking since you're the one who introduced me to the show.
okay, so I knew Kill la Kill was going to be big because of what Trigger was. I mean, it's all the people I liked in Gainax finally leaving the shackles that is Gainax. I mean, like, their only actual anime they got to make prior to this was Inferno Cop and Little Witch Academia. And considering what they pulled off with both of those, considering one was all about budget and the other one was all about not having a budget. I expected them to do pretty well with this, and I wasn't disappointed.
Now, I heard about this through you. I've seen some of the trailers and ads, but I didn't look too extensively into it because I was still in that phase of not caring about the new trends at the moment because I still had some other shows to watch. I mean, hell, going to admit I still haven't seen um, anything past episode one of Attack on Titan. I might check it out when the English dub comes out because I do like the casting they have in that show so far. But um, but I checked out Kill la Kill, and it's crazy, over the top. I don't know if it's meant to be a parody of other anime shows. I mean, I've seen Demolition D Plus's review of it, and he basically said that the show is just one big pose law if you try to watch it like that. Because there were times that even with its ridiculous plot, and trust me, this is the most insane shit I've ever heard in stories. Um, that it does at times do take itself a little seriously despite the goofiness overall of the show.
I mean, look at what they were coming off of. Their last series that they got to work on together, like full series, was Panty and Stocking.
Yeah, except that one was obviously a comedy from start to finish.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you haven't seen Gurren Lagann.
No, I've only seen like a few episodes, and then I kind of stopped caring after Kamina died. Like they
Yeah.
were airing it, and
Spoiler, by the way. Spoiler for a different show. Kamina dies. If I don't know if you're late to that train, but it happened.
yeah, well, I've seen some of this show in my anime club. They were airing the subtitle version on their DVDs. I wanted to check the series out, but the way they released them in box sets confused the hell out of me. So, and I don't know. I'm just at a point of not caring anymore about Gurren Lagann.
Like throughout the entire course of watching Kill la Kill, I saw homages to every show they worked on,
I've
and I
seen
can actually
homages.
pin
I've seen,
and then I can actually pinpoint like locations of everything up until that point. Like, what were some of the ones you noticed?
uh, let's see. The Evangelion stuff. Um, I know. I think there was a character that looked like Garterbelt that was in the background during the. I forgot which episode it was.
That
The
that
episode
was
number.
actually a reference to Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
Uh,
Um, that in the second half of the show, the way that kind of sort of mimicked Payne Stocking's troll ending.
yeah, that too, and like that entire like final battle sequence with like the whole protective barrier surrounding the tower. I'm like, this looks just like Penny and Stocking. It's like we got to destroy the giant phallic-shaped object. Trigger sure does like their endings with phallic-shaped objects.
Yeah, they like to throw in the fan service a whole bunch of times, and there seems to be something that will appeal to both genders. I mean, by the third act of the series, the final act, almost everyone's butt naked. It's a bunch of dudes too, especially ones I could see that could appeal towards like female anime fangirls. Especially Inazuma and Sanagayama, two members of Satsuki's Elite Four. But I'm sorry if we're jumping around talking about this show.
Like,
I like to do spoiler talks unscripted, and I don't have a structure like I do in my reviews. I'm just shooting the breeze, but I guess we could talk a little bit about the plot for those who have yet to see Kill la Kill. Um,
hmm. Well, I guess we should start from the beginning. What was your impressions on the first episode? I
had
remember I was there when you watched it, but I don't quite recall what you thought.
um, it was a fast-paced, crazy way to start the show. Um, they showed this really interesting looking high school setting, which yeah, I'm still getting tired of, but at least they did something unique with this one, Honoji Academy, and it showed it showed a teacher in a class giving a subtle, by the way. He was giving a lecture about Hitler's rise to power, which probably parallels Satsuki's fascism, which also sounds very similar to the word fashion. And there's a theme to that. There's a big theme to that. Anyways, the big steel door gets kicked down, and they introduce quite possibly one of my top favorite characters in the show. Probably my absolute favorite character in the show, Ira Gamagori, the head of the discipline committee, and he said that one of the students hijacked the Goku uniform, which is it's a uniform that is supposed to give you enhanced abilities and powers. Somebody almost escaped with it, and he thought he was going to be hot shit because he put on the uniform and acted all badass. However, they ranked the uniforms on a star rating system, and Gamagori, as well as Satsuki's highest members, heard that in the background, by the way. Uh, Sorry, dude. And he probably muted his mic. Anyways, Gamagori is a 3-star, and that Goku uniform was a 1-star. The guy didn't stand a chance, so Gamagori pulls out a whip, beats the crap out of him, swings him all over to this big arena-like place, and then they introduce one of the major characters slash a kind of anti-villain character, Satsuki Kiryu.
Okay, but before that, I want to bring up that one character that got like the crap beat out of him in that first episode. I don't know if you realize this, but like through the course of the show, he appears a couple more times, and he was in the finale too. He actually has a series of character development.
Uh,
Um,
I haven't noticed actually.
yeah, it took me a while to realize it, like at first, because okay, we're gonna skip to the ending really quick. Remember that catching scene? And there was this other really big dude, like almost the size of Gamagori, like with all the other like generic background infantrymen,
Yeah.
like catching all four of them. That was him.
Ah.
He got fit. He was like, I'm going to like take. He actually took Gamagori's advice and started muscling up. And and anytime he shows up throughout the series, it is him. He was just unrecognizable at that point.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to introducing the main protagonist of the series, Ryuko Matoi. Um, well, later they introduce her, and she's looking for the person who killed her father, which I heard she didn't have really much of a relationship with. But she found out that he got stabbed in the chest by half a giant scissor blade. So she's trying to look for the other person behind the other scissor blade, and it leads her to Honoji Academy. And later, she tries to get answers out of Satsuki, but then she gets her ass kicked by some of the other students, including the captain of the boxing club team, who wears a 2-star uniform. That's the club captain's. And later, she finds Dr. Matoi's basement, and she accidentally bleeds on some clothes, and one of the clothes turned out to be alive. His name is Senketsu. God, I hate to say it like that, but yeah, he gets Ryuko to wear him, and now she's got a badass super costume, but it kind of looks a little provocative.
Like it's kind of weird because when I saw the initial concept art for like the super suit,
Of
it
Senketsu.
it's looked really weird to me. Like I don't see like at first I thought it would almost turn me off from the show, but I'm like I'll still give it a shot. It looks kind of crazy, but maybe it'll surprise me. And I wasn't the only one in that regard. It was just like a lot of people thought it was just going for the generic like style to it, but it did prove wrong in that aspect.
No, it's actually a pretty cool costume. I mean, he gets more abilities along the way to almost a point on an ass pull level, but I actually didn't care. I actually liked the fact that Senketsu was getting stronger, getting more abilities and stuff, because it made the costume just all that much cooler to me. Um, I mean, there was actually one point where he used like the teeth around the skirt as an ink to anchor Ryuko during her fight with Jakazuri, I believe. I thought that was cool. And then all of a sudden, she gets the ability to fly like a rocket ship.
To be honest, I'm not sure that like that had any like basis into happening. I'm pretty sure if you were just imaginative enough, you could make any form you wanted.
Hmm. Um, and yeah, Ryuko was doing well. She was actually kicking all some of the club captains' ass, and then she does the finishing attack with the scissor blade. I believe it's Seni Soshitsu, or a life cut and fiber attack or something like that, and strips him away from the uniform and takes the life fiber from the Goku uniform. Um, I guess I don't want to talk about the life fibers just yet, but for a while I was expecting a Soylent Green twist with them. But I
Life fibers, people.
exactly. But turns out I didn't get that. Instead, I got something more bizarre. But for some reason, when I play it in the back of my head, it makes sense. Um, but
Like,
Ryuko, she's only allied with her and her uniform, which talks. Unfortunately, she's the only one who can actually understand and listen to Senketsu.
well, well,
Everyone,
well.
no,
You are wrong in one regard.
what?
She did have another ally.
Yeah, I did. I know. I was gonna
The
bring her up.
con.
I was gonna bring her up, but I want to talk about how funny it is that she's the only person who could talk to Senketsu because everyone around her would think she's fucking crazy.
And they do. They
Yeah,
do.
but she does
So,
have another ally, or Mako Makenshoku, who starts off as the friend character who watches from the sidelines, but but I think she's like one of the better executed characters in in that type of regard. She's not a character I'm not going to forget easily.
nope.
Yeah.
For a multitude of reasons, which we will get to later.
All right.
So, okay. So from the point of the first episode, it really is just a bunch of standard fighting till episode 3. Episode 3 was the thing that really like hooked me into this show because the original concept I thought, well, I guess she's just going to fight the different monster of the week. I mean, student of the week until we get to like the final fight. But
Yeah,
then
that's
in
what I thought
episode
too.
3 it was like, nope, here we do big boss fight already. Which is I'm nice they picked episode 3 for that because I guess even Japan acknowledges the 3 episode rule.
Yeah, episode 3. That's when Satsuki decides to get a little more serious and and it turns out she had a Kamui uniform. That's what Senketsu's called. She apparently had her own Kamui uniform the whole time, called Junketsu, which she was told by her mother not to wear it until like the day of her wedding. But she decided to break that rule and put it on anyway, so she could go toe to toe with Ryuko. And the fights and the animation were pretty fun to were really fun to watch. And her costume is well, about just as ridiculous as Ryuko's on What's Left of the Imagination, and it even reminds me of a stupid character design I've seen out of Blaze Blue, but it really did not bug me all that much in the show. Um, and the fights were pretty good, and then but around the middle half, I mean, it's a little. I wouldn't say it doesn't really progress much in plot, but it does introduce a few another character and some other stuff, and it was still pretty fun. It was still pretty fun to watch. It had some great moments. It was still fun and exciting, but like I said, this was around the time when the like I said, nothing was really advancing that much in the plot.
Now, like the only like notable episodes, if I recall, was for one whenever Teacher got officially introduced in his own way of being the mysterious, uh, aloof stripper.
Yeah. Who
And
kind of looks like Kamiya's gigolo brother or something like that.
pretty much. And then you have uh Mohawk guy, which looked like the son of Yoko and Keaton from Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, Sumagu Kanagase, I believe his name was. I did like his little his nail gun weapon, and there was a time where he actually used it to temporarily paralyze Mako. Oh yeah, Mako. She receives a lot of punishment between the episodes, but she doesn't seem to really care all that much. Like in the second episode, when the main antagonist of that one was the tennis club captain, she got like a whole bunch of tennis balls like shot in her face like a can. It was very similar to I can't fucking say because it'll be spoiling another franchise entirely, but it reminded me of that except a little more comical.
Well, just say this because they do bring it up level. It's like her power level is over 9,000,
Yeah, they actually.
which I can't believe they went that far. It's like she's the strongest fighter ever, and then it has like all her fighting levels is 999.
Yeah, you're the one who made that theory that she was well. I wouldn't say you made it, but you had the theory of that she was the strongest character in the show, or one of the strongest characters in the show, way back around when episode 8 was around, I believe.
I hate to make this joke, but it's perfectly fine for me. It's like it's just the strength of a stupid person knows no bounds. And despite the fact that Mako isn't like dumb, she is very like
She's
I
way
don't even know
too.
if it's carefree. It's
Yeah,
like
she's
every time she tries to explain herself, she always does it like in a way that's so open no one can understand what she's saying.
Yeah, she's way too optimistic to be smart. Is what I'm trying to say. It's kind
I
of like
have
the
autism strength.
it's kind of like the opposite of what Louis C.K. said. He's like, I know too much to be, I know too much to be optimistic or something like that. So if that's true, then the happy you are, the possibly not so bright you are. Yeah. What else can we talk about? I don't want to go through the plot point by point by point, otherwise we'd be here all
Um,
day. I did not
we
expect
oh
this
yep.
show to be 24 episodes, by the way. I thought it was going to go through the 12, 13 episode
I
formula.
I did because Trigger is known for most of their short shows being too core. They've always been like that. Even in a way,
They only
despite the
had two
fact.
shows, though.
No, they had, the reason why I say it is because it's like I guess when they had a budget, they always worked. Actually, now that I think about it, they did Fully Cooley too, and that only had 6 episodes.
Yeah, you're
So
talking. You're talking about the when during their
yeah,
Gainax days.
during
Yeah.
like I'm talking about like the members in general. They either do shows that are way under a core, like something along the lines of Fully Cooley or Inferno Cop, or they have series that at least in some way have around 24 to 26 episodes. Because even though Penny and Stocking was only technically 13, those were just 2 episodes shoved into a 30-minute period.
Hmm.
We got to go by Western logic, and every show only is 10 minutes now.
Oh yeah, when that show was being a kind of a homage to Western stuff, then yeah. Um, I guess we could mention Satsuki's Elite Four. That's how they translated it in the Crunchyroll subtitles.
Yes, the four divas.
I
Um,
mentioned Gamagori already. I thought I was gonna not like this character when they finally revealed his regalia form in his Goku, with his Goku uniform, because it's basically Iron Man bondage.
but that in of itself is an homage to things they've done before.
Garter belts with penny and stocking. Yeah,
And
that's what I immediately thought of when I first saw that.
like, and one of my other favorite like Elite Four characters was, I think, okay, I'm trying to remember by like their animals. Uh,
I think she was a monkey.
Gamagori was monkey.
No, no, he might be.
Yeah,
I always thought gorilla
I think
because his name sounds like gorilla sometimes.
it was
But
like monkey. Monkey was either no monkey was sword dude.
oh, okay.
Uh, whose name escapes me right now because honestly,
Sonic
every time
Yama.
he tried to be, every time he tried to be relevant, he couldn't.
Oh
Like
God, yeah,
he
there is
tried
Khan. There is
really hard.
There's a con about that character that I was disappointed with, and that is that there was never a rematch between him and Ryuko, and that really
Because like
ticked me off.
something would always happen every time he tries. Like, I'm gonna prove myself. He always gets the short end of the stick, to where he was never able to fully get his redemption, even at the cost of losing his own eyes.
Hmm. Yeah.
It's like, I'm blind and I won one fight, but she got away, so I couldn't finish her off. Don't worry, we'll fight again when I'm even more powerful. Never happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I was so disappointed by that. But the other Elite Four member character, you wanted the, you're thinking of Jack Azuri, right? Or did you like the other guy?
Hmm. But you being okay, I actually have things about all four. For one, let's talk about uh, glasses, because I
Inazuma.
can't remember his name off the top of my head. Yeah, Inazuma.
Yeah.
Um, when you actually saw his powers, I'm like, you try to come off as like the cool science type, but when you actually see him fight, he's a gigantic nerd. I can calculate everything.
Dude, he didn't even really fight. Well, during the God, what was it? The election arc, as I want to call it, when Ryuko's like fighting off one of the each member of the Elite Four or every episode. She's only there for like 10 minutes. He's like, I'm done calculating my data. I forfeit.
It was like the only time he ever done anything of relevancy was at the last few episodes.
Yeah.
When he actually got a decent battle suit,
Okay.
because his other battle suits were like a
Also,
a
I think I
skin
botched.
tight suit made out of keyboards.
Huh. Yeah. By the way, I think I botched his name. It's supposed to be Inamuta, not Inazuma. But yeah,
Like
he had keyboards all
he
over his first uniform.
in the end he was just a big nerd. He
It,
just loved
yeah, he just loved
knowledge.
it. Yeah, he loved knowledge and
Well,
research.
he was like the epitome of geekness. And then you have everyone's favorite raspy voiced
Hold on,
band
hold on.
player.
I want to mention one other thing because there is some patterns with there is another Marvel pattern. In the final arc when they finally got their final Goku uniforms, did you notice his regalia form looking a little familiar to you? Like it looked like a little friendly neighborhood so and so from New York.
Yes, I did notice that, especially when he had the whole Spidey web thing
Yes.
in that one fight scene. He was Spider-Man.
Yeah. But anyways, the other character, Nonon Jakazuri, who has the
uh,
weirdest sounding voice I've ever heard.
Nani sore? It's like people either loved or hated her voice. I was one of the people that like I found it charming at a point. It's just really funny. Like her entire thing was like, I want to stand beside Satsuki, and like she could never like get to that point because it's like, look at how powerful I am. Get smacked down.
Well, that's the thing. Her fight with Ryuko was actually the longest, if I'm not mistaken. She had like three different
Yeah,
forms.
I think the whole like specification of their strength levels depended on how long they knew her. Like, uh, Gamagori
Okay.
knew her before. I mean, Yana knew her before Gamagori. Gamagori knew her before. Uh, I think
Before
before.
Inamuta, I believe. Well, here's the thing. I
Yeah,
think Jakazuri knew Satsuki first, and then I think it was Sanagayama second, and then maybe Gamaguri third and Inamuta fourth, or the other way around.
yeah, something like that. And depending on that and how long they were around that personality, depending on how crazy their fighting style was.
Yeah.
Because you have yeah, because you have Glasses. I think Glasses was the last person to know him because he didn't fight at all.
No. Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
I just want knowledge, but everyone else actually tried putting up a fight when he wasn't about fighting in the first place. He was just like my super hacking skills.
Um. So yeah, and my favorite of the four characters is definitely Gamagori. Just because, he helps set the tone for the show. And another thing they love to do with this character is that they purposely mess up his proportions to where sometimes he's about an average,
No,
6, 7 foot tall. Other
no,
times he what?
they they did not mess up his proportions at all. It's very simple. Gamagori only comes in one size, bigger than you.
But what I mean to say is that sometimes he'll look a little average size, and then other times they will purposely make him like a fucking tall, like 20 feet tall. There was actually a time where he got so tall that his head hit the ceiling in the nudist beach colony, and you could actually see him do the damage. Like you see, there's a crater up on the top because of it. So yeah, they
That
they did know what he was doing. They were doing with him. They were just they did that on purpose. I didn't mean
oh,
to say they messed up. I was gonna say mess up on
they did
purpose,
it
but you
on purpose
interrupted.
for one reason, and it took me a while to realize it.
Why?
Gamagori is Satsuki Kirin's Mako.
Yeah, yeah, I knew that.
It was like even to the point I'm like, why would they just do this for a running joke? And I'm like, wait a second, this is essentially Mako's Hallelujah, except with him giving speeches as a gigantic Goliath, which is funny. Which is funny that they would do that because of what happens between him and Mako later.
What happens later? I'm trying to
Um,
remember.
you know that they were constantly setting itself up for that he would liked Mako.
Oh yeah, like they almost make it look like that they were gonna be paired
They didn't
up with
almost.
each other.
They did it in the end credits.
Oh well, I didn't see it.
He he actually it actually ended with him about to ask her out. He had
Oh
like a
okay.
suit on, like a really like nerdy hairstyle, and holding a thing of flowers. And then you had yeah, I keep calling him Glasses because I can never remember his name. It
Inamuda.
actually had him like on an iPad, like all four of them were like behind a wall, and he was like on an iPad, and it's like I calculated the perfect line to ask her out with.
Oh okay. Oh now okay, I'm remembering it now. Yeah, it happens as the credits roll. Um, did I mention this is a spoiler talk?
Yeah, like we will probably spoil the show. I mean that's why if you were here anyway, you've watched the show.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
So
just
um
yeah. Basically, I did want to talk about this anime, but I didn't know it was going to go for 24 episodes. I was thinking about talking about it during the halfway point, but I decided to wait till everything's finished. That and I kind of want, like I said, I kind of want to prove to my fan base I do keep up with some current trends. I mean, yeah, I still have yet to finish Sword Art Online, but I am in the middle of actually finishing it up because Aniplex, in their nicest gratitude, decided to put it on Netflix with the English dub, so I can watch it. So I can finally get around to watching it and finishing it up.
and you're just in time for the next season.
Yeah, yeah. There's another season coming out. Go figure. This is actually going to be a good
Yep.
anime year. I can feel it in my bones.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kill la Kill ended, but guess what's coming up around the corner that I really hope does a very good job.
JoJo has the hype of Kill la Kill. It
Yes, it
always
does.
has.
It has the hype.
Yeah. They were always on par with each other in terms of like internet spread.
Yeah.
But okay, to get back to the, I guess since we've talked about the four divas, we can cut all the way through the big fight and onto the tri-state raid, or as I saw it in where I watched it, the battlefield trip.
Um, let me just say, at the time when I saw that arc or most of it, like I said, it had its good moments. Like they had a football team, like one of the schools had like a football team defense force, and the other one used money to profit off of to manipulate poor people to do their bidding. It was all really interesting stuff to watch, but I really did not care as much because I really care. Well, for one thing, the characters, they do make a face turn after that arc. But at the time, even though they were being very well developed and really interesting characters that I like, they were still an antagonist, or that's how I still perceive them as. They were still
See,
totalitarian. They were still totalitarians, just trying to take over schools and stuff. So, so I really did not care, and I knew they were gonna freaking take over the schools, take over the do the tri-state raid and succeed in it. But I only cared about Ryuko getting Senketsu back together, and
we
they
sort of missed something important with this.
what?
Got to go back really quick to the introduction of the main one of the main antagonists, Nui Harami.
Oh, God, I fucking hate that bitch. Just so you know, I just
Okay,
absolutely hate her.
like
I'm
her
supposed to
her
hate
entire.
her. I'm supposed to hate her, but man, do I hate her.
He's like, I'm the one who killed your daddy. Yeah, we kind of did forget the whole climax of the high school thing there. The fact that Ryuko lost her way and
Yeah, we need to
and
talk about the
became a
music
monster.
after we discuss a little bit about the
Yeah.
plot and characters.
Uh, because as much as I want to lean to this tri tri-state area, uh,
Tri-state raid.
the the tri-state raid, I gotta bring up Nui at this point because like she was my favorite character to hate. I'm pretty sure that was the entire purpose because she was like over the top crazy to the point where I never considered Mako annoying. I always considered Nui annoying. But
Yeah.
the worst part is she's annoying and smart. But like it was the entire fight sequence between her and then like Ryugen mad because you killed my daddy, and then turns into the monster that Satsuki fights, and
Oh yeah. So
then
Ryuko turned. God, that was a creepy thing to see. By the way, that was really
and then
creepy.
like Mako had to be the one to stop it. And that's the thing. It's like I should have noticed then that whenever like as soon as Mako was trying to like save Ryuka, and then Nui tried to kill her, and then Satsuki stopped it. I'm like, okay, I think I know where this is going now.
All right.
And
So yeah,
and
the twist wasn't out of nowhere. They were building it up.
yeah, it's like it was the start of the build up, and even after the after credit scene where it was like it's like I was the one who sent Nui. If you want to know more about what happened, then you still have to follow me and things like that. And then came the next episode, the one that led into. I'm not sure what to think of Trigger for this. The whole Ryuko coming back to fight after losing her way. It's like I'll never put on Sengetsu again. And then she
She
tries
puts
to
on
help out
Senketsu
this
again.
newspaper guy,
Yeah.
and newspaper guy turns out to be Nui. And then they fight, and then Sengetsu gets chopped into a bunch of squares. And as soon as I saw that, and I'm like, you know, if this wasn't a week delay in between these episodes, this would have aired on Christmas Eve.
Wow, really? It was
Yeah,
that close? Yeah.
it would have aired on Christmas Eve. It wasn't for the week delay. The same day, the last episode of Penny and Stocking aired.
Yeah, also known as the Day Guy X Trolled Christmas, or How the Guy X Trolled Christmas.
And I'm like, as soon as I saw that scene, I'm like, no, it's happening again. So I figured, so I'm going to assume the rest of the show is like her getting all the squares back in like an entire season plot line. It's probably something similar to what they would attempt to do with the season 2 of Panty and Stocking. But nope, it all happens in like 2 episodes,
Yeah, they
maybe even one.
good because I don't know. I like her when I like her when she's fighting in this Senketsu uniform. Um,
But
and
there
continue
is one thing
fighting.
I
But
noticed about that entire Getsu back section.
what?
That was a complete homage to Fooly Cooley. The motorcycle scene, the whole like look, the riding around on people's heads, hitting them with things, and I'm like, this is the most Fooly Cooley I've ever seen this show gotten.
You know, when she wore the scarf around her neck, I assume she gave me a Kamen Rider vibe as well. That's just me. Um, but but um, but yeah, during the Tri-City raid. I just love the fact that Mako got unfortunately pulled into the Osaka attack. However, she quit her duties and found out everyone was like shooting money out of their guns, and she basically forced a dude to shoot her, only for her to like catch all the money, like ninjutsu style, and use it to buy shit. um, we never really tackled Mako's family yet. I don't know. I think they're worth a mention since,
This is
yeah,
this is true because they were like the poor family.
yeah, they
They were the we're poor, but we have family values.
Yeah, they were an interesting cast of characters, that's for sure. Especially Mako's dad, who's a back alley doctor.
And who is terrible at his job, but he still makes a living off of it.
Yeah, but Mako's
And
family,
and
her dad, her mother, her younger brother, and a pug that wears a sweater by the name of Guts.
talking about guts for a second, and this also gets back to triggers. Every big in show needs to have a tiny animal sidekick.
Yeah, I think I know where you're getting. But Fully Cooley didn't have one.
No, Fully had a robot though.
I mean,
I guess that kind of counts.
if you want to stretch it that far, but
Actually, no. There was that tiny robot dog.
that was in the final episode though, and it turned out to be a monster.
Well, it's only 6 episodes. You can't really build off of.
Now you just grasping straws at this point, dude. Um, but I know Penny Stocking had Chuck. Gurren Lagann had some little rodent that wore glasses. I can't remember his
Yeah, it
name.
was a mole.
Um, I don't. I haven't seen a whole lot. Well, Evangelion had Pen Pen, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen. God, if there were references to Nadia, the Secret of Blue Water, which I'm currently in the middle of watching because I bought it on Blu-ray. No point doing that, but I did anyways. Um, I haven't seen Gunbuster nor Diebuster. I know Diebuster's available, but I don't want to watch it. I want to watch it side by side with Gunbuster. Really, I'm gonna watch Gunbuster first and then go straight to Diebuster. So I won't catch any references there. And like I said, I haven't seen all of Gurren Lagann, but Gurren Lagann was a heavily talked about show some years back. So
No, the Gurren Lagann references were really obvious, especially the one in the last episode.
the one with Gamagori.
Ego boost.
Oh,
God.
that was creepy but awesome at the same time.
uh,
um,
but the Tri-City raid trip did introduce one of my favorite characters in the show, despite the fact his appearances were short-lived. The Dash King, Takarada.
that's the Osakin dude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was interesting. I think he does come back during the finale though.
He does. He shows up on occasion. Essentially, his main job was to about money.
Yeah,
He was supposed to be the rich investor.
yeah, out of the
And
four school heads, he actually was the one that posed the biggest threat to the point where the Battle of Osaka ended in like a post-apocalyptic debris all over the place, dude.
yeah, and his robot was essentially his expensive version of the DTR.
Yeah, the DTRs, that's what the nudist beach colonist pilots, except his is
The
like a
robot
giant golden crab.
crab because something with crabs being money.
Something
I'm not exactly sure that or baby money is cancer. I don't know.
could be some reference to Osakan culture, I guess. Yeah, I don't get it either.
But
I may get
the
it the second time
DTR,
viewing. Oh yeah, the DTR walkers, which
the DTR, or no, it's like the Diotare, which Diotare, the reference to that is it used to be the red light district, one of the bigger red light districts in Japan before it got retooled. So it's why it's kind of fitting for that to be the name of their robot.
ah
And then the DTR joke, I'm not getting into that.
okay. But
It doesn't go to a nice place.
after the tri-state raid, we were already introduced to this character, but there was a more prominence of Satsuki's mother, Ragyo Kirien, who's got a very interesting villainous design to say the least. I mean, she has like very pale skin, wears a lot of white clothing. However, her under her hair, the shadow highlights is a giant glaring. It's rainbow. She glows a rainbow, which is very
which
similar
is
to
funny.
which is very similar to Ryuko's hair. Whenever she becomes Senketsu, her hair actually gives more red highlights.
There's an interesting theory behind that, which led into one of the bigger plot twists later on about Raigyo's hair color. On her right side, it had all the colors of the rainbow, but on her left, it was missing red.
Ah, I see where you're getting at.
And a lot of people like brought that up, and it's like I bet it's somehow connected to Ryugo, and everyone's like, no, you're just taking shots in the dark.
But then
There's
it
no
turns
way
out they
that's
were
right
right.
about that. And
But anyway, her
I was
plan.
like,
She was the one who's the real villainous mastermind behind everything, and Satsuki was just going along with orders. However, she ends up stabbing. Satsuki ends up stabbing Ragyo in the back, and turns out that she was just
but
building Honoji Academy to rebel against her
to
brother.
fighter. But before we get into that, let's just talk about Raigyo for the obvious reason. For one, her glorious theme song,
Yes, I do love that song, Blumenkranz. Uh,
and the other one being is her really close relationship with her daughters.
yeah, dude, she just comes off as a creepy villain, dude, because of
It's
that.
like, don't worry, I'm just unlocking your chakras.
I don't even want to talk about it. That's how much it bugs me.
Yeah, it was just like, and the thing is, it's like I thought it was might have been like a one-time joke, but it just kept happening.
um,
It
but
was like, okay, so this is clearly some. It has to be some joke, but it's kind of weird when you say, "Oh, you won't really want to watch this show because it sure does have a lot of lesbian incest." It's like, well, that instantly makes me want to watch the show. In fact, if no one knew about it, when at the time it happens, they'd probably be making completely off guard.
yeah. Um,
Uh, but past that, the entire thing of Regio, actually, including up to the final episode, when after she came back to Hojo Academy to do her big final thing, and she came out looking like
Kefka.
this crazy, like it was Kefka. It was Kefka up until the end. I'm like, even to the point of nearly succeeding, it's Kefka. So that made it more awkward.
Yeah, and yeah, that's where things actually get way better in the series too. Things actually get
Yeah.
things went uphill after that. I expect him. I almost thought they were going to go downhill because the you know characters who were perceived as antagonists for a while turning out to be good guys. If you do that wrong, it's going to piss a lot of people off, and not to mention introduce a new batch of antagonists. Um, to take the spot would also piss people off. But I actually did like how they, turned that around. I actually did like Satsuki and her Elite Force so much to see. I was hoping that they wouldn't die, which is weird because for a show called Kill la Kill, there's not a whole lot of killing.
Nope.
No, there's only one character. Well, there's like
There's
what
there's like three,
three.
really just three.
Yeah, Ryuko's
Um.
dad and the two villains, and if you want to
Oh
count
no, four
Senketsu,
technically.
yeah, well,
And yeah,
four.
by the way, that oh, I was going to get on to something about. I lost my train of thought on that one. Oh yeah, the thing about Ryuko is throughout the show, she's constantly trying to find some reason to not fight anymore.
Yeah,
Like
that bugs me because this
it's
happens a
like from the
lot.
first time it was like, oh, I lost my control, I can't fight anymore. Oh, I found out I'm being used. I can't fight anymore. Oh, I am also involved in life fibers. I can't fight anymore. This happens like 3 times, and all it does is end in something horrible later.
Yeah, like I don't know I don't know if you called the second one something else, or you must have missed another one, but you forgot. Oh, it turns out I'm using Senketsu to kill his own kind. I can't fight anymore.
Yeah, that was the whole I'm being used thing. Even though he said that, I can't believe him using Senketsu to fight his own kind. That was just her like masking the whole. My dad turned me into a weapon. She was just making Sengetsu an
Just like
excuse.
Gendo, just like Gendo Ikari.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, that she did that a lot in the second half, which irritated me. It was just like how it reminded me of Negimo, where he's like, "Oh, I gotta fight. I gotta fight by my own. I can't endanger you," and he does that like 10 times throughout the manga, which irritated me. Um, but yeah, Ryuko did that, and yeah, it always ends horribly after at that point. Um, after we already mentioned the first time Senketsu was in pieces. I can't remember what happened the second time where she didn't like the idea of being used as a weapon. Unless you want to count the big
Uh,
plot twist as the horrible thing happening.
I mean, the whole. I don't think a lot really came from that besides her almost fighting Mohawk, dude.
Yeah, well, I was
Which
about
is
to
like
say
the
like,
epic cliffhanger that nothing came out of. I think Mako stopped her.
okay,
Because, like, the only time, like, like anything could be of relevancy was when Mako tries to intervene.
yeah, but anyways,
And that last one, it was far too gone.
after that, I guess the devastating revelation of her being the daughter of Ragyo and not even being completely human would probably be a little devastating. That was a big
Yeah,
twist.
it's like you are my daughter, and a bunch of people called that, but I was like, there's no way, there's no way that's true. That's probably just overthinking it. And then I saw, and then the flashback scene happened, and I'm like, are they right? Like, no, it's probably just some really horrible story. Nope, Midataru, and like the ripping out of the heart at the end, and like Satsuki's entire fight against her mother was just very depressing because she was just getting like beaten to hell.
I know, and
To
prior to
even
that, Setsuki was actually was kind of like the opposite of Riko. She was always calm, collected. Nothing really phased her all that much. And then and she never really got an ass whooping. She was always like on even footing with Ryuko. But when it came, but during that fight between her and Ragyo, boy, she was really pummeling the shit out of her. Oh, it
yeah,
was hard to watch.
like especially when they went in first person and you just see her hand kind of limp up there trying to block a punch and then getting punched in the
Yeah.
like yeah. And as soon as Rega put on Jinketsu, I'm like, well, this is probably she's just going to be using it from this point on. Nope.
No, she gets it back.
It's like Jinketsu was like the one that was worn by everyone. It's like that was relevant. It was
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
you forgot horrible thing number three when it turns out that after Ryuko got pissed when she realized that she wasn't even completely that she was like part life fiber and part human. Well, yeah, I forgot to mention the life fibers are. No, actually, we'll cover that afterwards. But I want to mention the
well, I mean, it kind of got explained in that
here.
episode where it was like
Here's the thing. I want to
Sengetsu's
mention the
fighting his
fact
own
that she
kind.
got turned against her friends by putting on
Yeah,
Junketsu and being manipulated. Even go as far as fucking kissing Nui.
like that alone, like the entire scene that led up to that, like in the following episode where they were like all three of them like together, of like this makes me uncomfortable. I know what those hand motions mean. I've been here long enough.
But yeah, but anyways, the big the twist. Life fibers are get ready. Like I said, this plot, um, it's ridiculous, but for some reason, when I play it in my head, it actually makes sense. But life fibers are aliens.
Yep, life fibers are from space.
They're aliens.
Space.
Yeah,
Dynax, you love
clothing.
space.
Clothing is aliens, which makes, like I said, it sounds stupid when I say it out loud, but when I play it back in my head, I actually can see that being sensical, because if you want to do an invasion on a planet, or on an advanced planet, your mileage may vary if you really mean that or not. And you want to do a subtle invasion, not that doesn't use a whole lot of militaristic force, disguising yourself as something people have to wear in public
Well,
would actually be effective.
not even disguising it, creating it,
Yeah,
because they explained life. It's like people aren't life fibers. I mean, well, life fibers aren't people. Life fibers made people. Like they even said, it's like back in the day, a bunch of monkeys got possessed by life fibers and they
and
turned into
yeah,
humans,
they explained that they were responsible for evolution,
which would
which would
completely destroy everything in of itself in terms of the social standard for what we would consider normal, because
yeah,
this was kept hidden from a clothing manufacturer.
yeah,
It's
Revox
like
Radios Group. Yeah,
Revox, it's just covers backwards.
Revox. Well,
Uh,
if you
if you
switch
leave
the
off the
S,
S,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's like cover flip backwards math.
Hmm. Sorry, stretch a little bit. The way I set my
And
microphone, I have to slump myself over. I can't just sit casually on a table. And then we get the big ass fight scene, which was really awesome to see Setsuki. And I just want to wrap this up as quick as possible because I want to talk about the other
yeah,
things about the show.
but it's like that whole thing with like Ryuko wearing Jingetsu and Satsuki wearing Sengetsu fight.
Yeah,
Before that episode even came out, a bunch of people started like drawing that, and I saw a bunch of artwork, and I'm like, this is really cool. And I actually watched the episode, and I'm like, this actually happened.
yeah. fans, some fans, if they're smart enough, they could definitely catch on to things. Um, but I
Or it's
really
by
did like that
accident.
episode because they brought back something I was hoping they would bring back, and that was Mako's two-star uniform, the Fight Club uniform. We did not mention
um,
that.
okay, but before we get on to that point, there was a running joke started really early on in this show involving episode 7. Whenever Mako was typing in a calculator, people like tried reading the calculator. It was like 1511013, and people read that as, oh, it means episode 15, I die. So then it was like Mako's going to die at episode 15, and then she didn't. And then people was like, but wait, if you flip it over, it says episode 21, I die. And then you're like, oh, well, it's time for episode 21. Is Mako going to die? And then there was that scene where Mako was wearing Sengetsu and jumped into Ryuko, and that entire thing happened.
Oh,
Everyone's like, it actually happened. Mako died. But then it was just in her head, so she came back out anyway.
oh, that was close.
Yeah, like as soon as it happened, I'm like, they actually killing Mako? No way.
That would be
Nope.
horrible. um,
Because if Mako actually died, Ryuko would have gone insane and just started rampaging for the rest of the
again,
show, pretty much.
yeah. Um, but whew, like I said, I don't want to cover. I don't want to get too because I want to talk about the art, the animation, the hype, the not so hype, the hype. But but I did like the final battle where everyone from Nudist Beach. We didn't talk much. Well, we talked much about the characters, but we just never really talked about
Nudist
Nudist
Beach,
Beach.
they were unfortunately very irrelevant in most cases.
They were.
Like we've completed our mission, despite the fact that every time we tried to do something, it went horribly wrong.
Hmm.
Their only usefulness was their finisher on the tower after Gamagori did his Gurren Lagann reference. Because even when they did that, it's like, let's combine. Well, it's like, we will show you the true power of normal humans, and then they get punched
Yeah, that really
and
depressed me
flung.
because that Super DTR former they had was actually pretty cool, and then all of a sudden, pfft, oh, really? And the thing is, those like
And
Sumagu and I forgot the Aikuro aren't like incompetent characters completely. They were actually really good characters. So them getting like this bullshit jobber treatment was kind of pathetic. uh,
yeah,
and
but like,
they even lost their base to fucking Jakazura as well as during the tri-state raid, uh, or at least most of their base. And of course, they're
and
nudists, and the only things they wear are like fucking pockets.
whenever they did that time skip and everyone wore like the nudist beach gear.
Yeah, yeah. Satsuki's members start because their Goku uniforms like wore off. They joined Nudist Beach since they both had a common goal and worked together. Before that, they were on opposing sides, obviously.
Yeah, and then you have the whole their final uniforms. Like most of it was them not wearing anything at all. That was also a whole relevance to like the less clothing you wear, the better is like the more on the side of good you are.
There was another character from Honoji Academy that I didn't mention because he was a member of the Elite Four, but I can't remember his name. He's the guy who made all.
Uh, Sewing Dude. We'll just call him Sewing Dude. I liked Sewing Dude a lot
Well, I
because
liked his final form because as another Marvel reference, you can't look
he,
at what he's
he was
doing.
Doctor
Yeah, you can't
Octopus,
look at what he's doing going, yeah, that's Doc Ock.
which is funny because he was with glasses quite a bit, and he was Spider Man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But like, I really liked him as a character because he was important. He made all the battle uniforms. And you didn't, and you, I didn't even know his uniform was a 3-star until he did it. He was the fifth 3-star wearer, but no one acknowledged him as a fourth in the as the 5 divas. He was They were just the four. He was always the wearer. Not to mention his awesome uncle, the butler. I would just sit here making tea for everybody. I liked him a lot because he was so simple, and I'm like, I can't fight, but I'll make tea for everyone,
Yeah,
even on giant battlefields.
yeah. What was the name of the ship or the ship attack? Naked Dagger.
No, the Naked Sun.
Well, well, the thing is that when I saw
It
them
had
prepare,
the dagger form, but the dagger form was like, and the like them using the entire ship to beat the final life
the
size
fact that
fiber.
it was another sexual metaphor is what I'm trying to get across. Because when they showed the opening of the God, what was that thing called that big giant cocoon thing of the life fibers of covers.
The original, it was just called the original life fiber.
Yeah, they saw they cut to an opening of the original life fiber, and I'm just thinking V'ger, which is a metaphor for vagina, according to Mr.
It's
Plickett's
like,
review of Star Trek.
I'm gonna pierce the
Yeah, Pierce.
my ships, the ships that will pierce the fiber.
All right, but it was a really awesome.
And
It was a big. It was an awesome finale. They didn't toss galaxies at each other, but I did like.
we can talk about Nui's just desserts. We
Oh
still
yeah,
haven't forget that entire scene with Nui getting her arms cut off. That also felt very panty and stocking-ish, which was
it was also
hilarious.
awesome. It was also awesome, and it was like one of my favorite moments, just because this woman
It
finally
it
like
was the
lost her
best
shit.
use of low budget I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's the thing about the animation. Much like Penny and Stocking, they have some really awesome, great highlight moments with the action sequences. But then other times the budget's really really cheap, and they tried to use it for the more comedic moments of the show, which I think would be a more effective place to put it. Um, but it's but sometimes it's not like that, and but to me that the animation, whether it was great or whether it was cheap looking, didn't bother me at all. But the
Yeah, it was
but
like
the
it
scene
was
with
perfect execution.
Nui losing her arms, oh, that was awesome. Boy, was she bleeding crazy. She bleed the bleed.
It was a perfect full circle with that because she chopped up Sengetsu and then she got chopped up in similar fashion.
Yeah, but I love the fact she's like, "Oh, it's okay. I'll just get my arms back." All of a sudden, she stomps on it, goes whoops, psh, and it breaks them, and then absorbs the life fibers of her arms. And boy, was she was Nui pissed.
Do you know how much my arms are worth?
However, she gets some new arms from freaking creepy Ragyo molester woman. The way she gave
Yeah,
her arms back.
and then she finished the giant super suit.
Yeah, the super suit, which looks like a giant evil cloak, which is fitting for a final boss villain. It is appropriate attire. And then say,
It was like the biggest representation of everyone is like whoever wears the most clothes is evil. All you could see was her head and hands.
yeah. Well, what was really creepy is before they made that form. Well, yeah, before the final episode, the ending credits of episode 23 play, and you think it's typical credits. In the second half of the credits, it's pretty awesome because it mimics the art style that's very similar to the ending credits of Penny and Stocking, except it's all Mako and like interesting moments, including her like dressing up as a bunch of other different things. Um, but in the ending credits, they show like an artwork of Nui like popping up into the corner, and then all of a sudden the credits get interrupted, and that actually kind of creeped the shit out of me.
Because Nui is terrifying.
Yes, she is.
And with the final episode, okay, I guess I should make the obvious joke here, because it's been made countless times before that Ryuko can be mirrored to Shadow the Hedgehog.
I hate that
And
reference just on the grounds that I hate the character Shadow the
like
Hedgehog.
I do too, but but I can't deny it in certain cases. Like I was like, well, that's kind of a stretch until the thing with his "I am a monster" happened, and I'm like, oh, oh. Upside though is that's only where the that's only where the like familiarities lie.
I don't know. A lot of people might compare Super Shadow's form to the finale.
Okay, blonde hair is always well,
Well,
it's always been an anime thing.
yeah, yeah, it is an anime thing because when I saw that scene, I just instantly I was reminded of the finale of Dragon Ball Z. Except instead of gathering everyone's energy to summon the Spirit Bomb, she's gathering everyone's energy or Goku uniforms just to get a really awesome super form. Uh, but that was an awesome fight, and I like the fact that um, at the end, like they were giving each other like freaking monologues and speeches, and Ragio's like, "What kind of nonsensical?" She was just screaming out, like, "What kind of nonsensical bullshit are you talking about?" And then Ryuko's like, "Nonsensical bullshit is my thing." And as they said it, the big red text always appeared. Now we never talked about this, but this is something that I think it's worth discussing. But every time they have an attack name or a group name or a character name, it always shows up in big red text throughout the show, to the point where it covers the screen sometimes. And hell, it even becomes a non-diegetic element in the show. Like whenever I
Is
remember this one part where Nui Harume, after she revealed herself to be a traitor. You know, after she was the paper boy in disguise, when she reintroduced herself with the name, she was actually leaning on the title card, and it cuts to a different camera shot, and the title card's still there, but but uh, but but it's not covering the screen. It's still in the same position as it was in the
Yeah.
previous cut.
It was like the thing with Nui is like she always broke the fourth wall. That was like her running gag.
Yeah.
Even her final thing of interrupting the credits was the biggest fourth wall break she could have done. There are also other scenes where characters that weren't Nui pulled things like that. Like whenever a teacher dude, well, there was a scene wherever some text appeared in the sky, and when he looked at it, the text was reflecting in his glasses.
Yeah, yeah, I noticed that too. Um, but anyways, big final battle, and Ryuko actually tells everyone to stop it. What'd she do? She just freaking gets a microphone and just, even though the world looks like it was about to be engulfed by the life fibers, she just basically tells everyone to stop it, and they do
No
that,
bullying. Leave planet now.
and they do.
That is like that bugged a lot of people. Is like the fact that that is what she did to stop it. And like I can kind of agree in some aspects that they could have done something else. Like I was expecting her to get the scissor blades again and then do a Superman thing of running around the earth and cutting all the life fibers with it.
Okay, didn't you say there was a second half where that didn't bug you at all, or they did completely bug you?
No, I said it's like it bugged a lot of people, and I was okay with it. But in certain aspects, I'm like there was a couple other things they could have did, and the reason why I like the concept is like if she somehow used the scissor blade to cut all the life fibers in the world, that would have been cool because the scissor blade never got a lot of action.
Yeah, but it
It
did the
never
most
really
things in the
did.
show, though, and it was a very important weapon in the series.
Yeah, like it was an important weapon, but like the big final use when it actually got completed
Ah,
and became a whole weapon, it was like, that's ineffective against me. And I'm like, well, it wouldn't be ineffective against all the life fibers taking over the world.
that's
Like,
got a point. But like I said, but and that does sound cooler. But what they did instead did not bug me at all. I kind of laughed my ass off.
yeah, it would have probably been, it was easier on the budget, which
Yeah.
is fine by me. It means since we still got a decent fight with Ragia.
Unfortunately,
Um,
that was something that bugged me about the whole Ragyo fights. It's just that they always do what I like to call the shonen villain fake out. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but that's
I
when
do.
it's when the main character thought they defeated the villain, but all of a sudden he appears again, and it turns out it only scratched him mildly, or
I only got cut in half.
yeah,
I am perfectly fine.
yeah, Cell, or yeah, or he's not, or he or she's not affected at all, and then he would either continue fighting, or it turns out he was holding back the whole time. They did that about a few times in the final episode. I was expecting the fight to end almost immediately after she became Senketsu. God, what was that form did have a name. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I was expecting her to like do transform into that flight of space, do a final blow, and then finish her off right there. And if they did
Yeah.
that, I would have been okay with it. Yeah, would have been short as hell, but I would have been all right with it. But no, she was about to do an attack, and then all of a sudden her blade's effective, and here I am going, really? More of this bullshit? I bet you after she did that attack, I bet you had another form up your ass the whole time. And they did that shit with Frieza and Dragon Ball Z. It pissed me off. Oh, the Kaioken times
Actually,
23 didn't
actually,
fucking
let
work.
me say this:
Oh man, I was in the middle of a
that
tangent.
entire fight sequence with Ragyo, the finisher, the whole whenever whenever Ryuko gets stabbed by like the Kamui, and he's like, "I'm going to defeat you." She still has the blonde hair. It's like every time I come closer to death, I only get stronger. And I'm like, "Oh, look, Saiyan logic."
Pretty much. Uh, anyways, she beats Ragyo. Ragyo decides to kill herself instead of,
Which
living.
is like the ultimate insult. It's like, you spent all this time fighting me, but now you guys aren't even going to be the ones to kill me. I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah, sound logic right there. And, um, and, um, and of course, she was losing power because of Senketsu. Senketsu is powered by blood, by the way. Um, and unfortunately, Senketsu, there happens to be another body count. Senketsu does die, but she survives, and everyone else lives a happy life. Ryuko hangs out with Satsuki and Mako, and yeah, everything's back to normal. And yay, happy ending. No trolling, but no gyne.
Well,
What?
okay. But,
What?
but, 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 but before we get on to that, I have to say Sengetsu's final line was amazing. The whole sailor uniforms were meant to be grown out of. Go wear something that's cuter than me.
Yeah.
It's like I felt that felt like the perfect ending line for him as like a character. But before we say that this is the end, you do realize there is one episode left, right?
Yeah, you said
But
there was
we're
one
not going to
episode.
get it for a long time.
Yeah,
It's like we can't count our chickens before they hatch yet.
sure.
As it currently stands, it's happy ending. Then
Yeah.
who knows? It's probably just an epilogue that finishes off everything. But it's Trigger, so I don't know.
I don't know. Little Witch Academia
Nice
didn't
little
have any
hanging.
moments. Didn't have moments like that. Whatever.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, like the way it ended, it was perfect for Trigger style. Like even Gurren Lagann, it had a happy ending, but it was bittersweet. It was like it's perfect for the world, but not so much for the main character.
Hmm. Now, uh, I guess that's for the plot, Girl and Lagann. Is there any other things we want to talk about, like the art style, animation?
Um, really, the way it was entirely executed animation wise was exactly what I expected from Trigger.
Yeah,
It
same
was like very well use of saving money.
here. I mean,
Which is
Trigger.
funny because most animes can't pull that off. I'm looking at you, Wizard Barristers, with your episode 11 of only still frames.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh,
They had entire scene where a character was shot to death and all they saw was a picture of the gun that was used to kill him.
yeah. That.
The gun wasn't even firing bullets. It was just the picture of the gun. And it was up there for like 3 whole minutes.
Oh my
And then it would
god.
like cut back to like an overview scene. That was like the worst use of we either ran out of time. It was probably because they ran out of time, but it was Studio Arms that made it. I thought they would have like a good balance on that,
Some
but
no, they're sometimes they also highlight their moments and then spread it thin. I mean, I'm watching the latest season of Vicky Tosin, and so far, like, I'm not really impressed when compared to the previous two seasons. At least not yet. Then
yeah,
thinking I've
well,
only seen 2 episodes, so
yeah,
I'll have
well,
a full review
well,
sometime in the future.
well. The topic back to this is like considering what they had to do to save budget time, considering what I've seen people have to do to save budget time. I'm happy with Trigger.
Yeah, at least they didn't do like well they did have flashbacks, but of previous episodes, but they didn't do it as much. And I like when they do it, they actually like change the video quality to where it looks like a standard definition aspect ratio with like a reddish highlight tint to it.
My favorite use of it was the standard Trigger recap. Instead of it being an entire episode that a different episode would be a part of on the Blu-ray disc, like they did with Gurren Lagann, they did the entire recap in a minute 30 seconds.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It's just like as soon as they do that, it's like, see, that wasn't too bad, was it? It was just as long as the intro. it led into the brand new intro.
Yeah, the opening credits and closing credits for both shows. I definitely like the second season, the second half opening more than the first half. The first half was really good, and the music is pretty catchy. But the second one I thought was much more awesome because
It like had
you see a
the
lot more
hype behind it.
Ryuko versus Satsuki fighting, even though this was the turning point where she was about to turn ally. I just like the part where they were like fighting different groups of people and just throwing bodies all over the place, and they kept slicing each other up until they started painting the Kill la Kill text in red. I thought that
Yeah,
was
that
pretty
was
cool.
like really well done. And there's something else I was going to go into about that. Oh well, the whole the whole thing about how they had to save budget and all that was very interesting because when they finished the final episode of Kill la Kill,
Yeah.
14 hours before it aired, it might have been less than that actually.
Huh.
Because I remember them saying on their Twitter, it was like, guys, we just finished the episode 6 hours ago. And I'm like, cutting it kind of close there, aren't you?
I actually
So,
heard
but
some.
interestingly enough, that means that they were following the internet the entire time this show was airing.
Hmm.
To the point where I don't know if they had some influence on the show itself or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There was a lot of little Easter eggs hidden in throughout the show that like a bunch of people wanted to see like the chick from episode 4, the one who was like they were helping go up to the school so they wouldn't be expelled,
Yeah,
and she was
that was
like,
a fun episode.
yeah,
But the
she was in the finale
uh
in a very hilarious way. Whenever Mako was powering the ship by running on it, and it had all the other club presidents. She was too, but she had a paper bag over her head. And then
ah
in the final scene where all of them were about to fight, she was like somewhere in the middle, and she was wearing a pair of sunglasses.
Probably because she was secretly expelled by Gamakori, and I guess they still didn't want them to find out.
Yeah, it was
uh,
like tiny things that you'd have to go back and look at the episode to see, and that's one of the reasons why I like this show so much.
um, okay, what else? The music. Oh God, I love the music.
The soundtrack. We're not even through. I can't wait till part 2 of the soundtrack comes out.
Oh
It's
yes.
gonna be so great.
Definitely had a lot of epic scores, but the ones that a lot of people might catch on to or like is the song "Before My Body Is Dry," but some people call it "Don't Lose Your Way," but only because it's like the prominent line in the song. And
People got upset. It's like, if there's rap in it, and I'm like, that's Sengetsu rapping.
yeah, it is. Like I'm
You
surprised
guys
nobody
do
caught
realize
that. I'm surprised nobody caught
that.
that. And I actually did like the rap lyrics. I don't know. I think people just hate the rap just for the sake of
The
it
thing
being
is, it's
rap.
like Gurren Lagann also had plenty of. Well, their main theme song had rap lyrics in it.
Yeah, I
Their
know.
main theme song was rap lyrics.
Had more rap
So
lyrics than
expect that.
had more rap lyrics than anything else in that song "Libera Me from Hell." So I don't know
Yeah,
why "Before My Body Is Dry," which doesn't have much of it, and there's an alternate version that doesn't have the Senketsu dialogue, Senketsu lyrics. Um,
yeah. Okay,
Lost my train of
we'll
thought.
go with the one song that was kind of a surprise to me. Ping Pong Shakile.
I can't remember what song was that.
It's literally called Ping Pong.
Really?
It was a combination between that, which I think was teachers like theme, and Sword Dude's theme. Like it was
Sonic
like
Youth.
kind of both put together, but they were split in half at a point.
Ah, okay. Well, they kind of did look alike, which I thought was interesting. The one another song I want to mention is Gamagori's theme song. Um, really awesome. It's pretty much a hard rock song. You'll hear it in the first episode when they finally introduce him. Really love that song. Someone on YouTube, let me look it up. But someone on YouTube actually made a really awesome remix to that song. Um, let's see if I can pull it up. And I fucking love that remix a lot. Let's see. Yeah, Little V Mills. That's how you say his name, or Little V. Um, I'll post a link in the description. But that's a really awesome song. I listen to that just as much as I listen to the Blumenkrantz and Before My Body's Dry. Um,
There's also lighter ones like "Light Your Heart Up"
yeah. Uh,
and
that's the Mako
"Suck
Choco
Your
theme.
Blood's" entertaining too. Yeah, "Light Your Heart Up" is Mako's theme.
I know Chuck Azuri had a theme song that had a really interesting start
I
of it.
assumed her theme song was literally every single classical composer in existence.
Um,
I'm going to attack you with William Tell Overture.
it's funny you brought that scene up because I haven't talked about the secret that regarding the secret that Mako is like one of the most powerful characters in the show. You brought this up to me after I saw the episode, but um, but during that scene, you see like club members' bodies being beaten up all over the hallway, and some people might assume it was either Sumagu or Ryuko doing it, but you said no, that was Mako. Take a look at the little clues placed here and there. We later find out in that episode, Mako was like on cleaning duty, and she was like scrubbing everything with a floor brush. And then you find out if you look at the earlier in the scene, you see people with bodies, and you see people actually getting like crucified with the same brushes, implying that Mako probably beat them up or something. Isn't that what you
Yeah,
told
and
me?
then there was that, and then yeah, that was what I said. And then there was a thing in episode 7 wherever Mako was fighting Ryuko, and at the end it was like you were holding back, weren't you?
Yeah,
And pretty much it's like she was holding back the entire time. So that's why I said if they ever did bring her back to fight, I want to see her at full power, and we got that.
thank God. Maybe they were listening. Maybe they were listening to the internet. But yeah, her uniform is pretty awesome. It's a Bancho outfit that's very similar to Jotaro Kujo's, right down to the right down to her hat being slightly torn like Jotaro's. Um, it just made it look so freaking cool like that, even though it's like worn over her regular uniform. Oh god, what? So art. We cover a little bit of the art and animation. We cover the music. I think we got almost everything else. I don't want to talk about the reactions from other people because there are some people who really despise this anime, but there's some people who think it's like the best anime ever. Which you got to be careful. Which okay, you want to love the show as much as you do right now. That's cool, but you got to be really careful when you sell this show to another person.
Yeah,
Um,
because to
because
be honest,
there
one
is a
of
way
the things
to
that helped this show,
what
one of the things that helped this show was the hype machine.
true, but at the
Like
same time, you don't want to overhype it and get people's expectations to be disappointed because they do that with a lot of anime shows. I mean, I've seen some people pull that shit with Space Dandy recently.
Space Dandy is great though.
Yeah, but not everyone
But
will agree
for
with you.
yeah, it's like it's everyone's personal taste,
Yeah,
honestly.
like to me, I love this show. I do. I'll even say it's the best anime I've seen 2013. Maybe best thing I've. It really is hard to say if you best thing you've seen 2013, 2014 because it just airs because it started in the fall of 2013 but decided to ramp up now in 2014.
You would say if it was best from the winter. I mean the winter, not winter, spring. Dang it.
Fall into winter, fall into spring. I think it started off in the fall, I believe, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, That being said, I'm not going to say it's the best anime ever or this phrase, which I know it's being used almost sarcastically at this point, but the whole
Saving anime.
yeah, Kill la Kill is saving anime.
They use that for everything now. It's an
I
actual
know
joke.
to the point where that term has no meaning anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for the people who hate the show, well, it's mostly from people who haven't really watched it.
It's
Let's be
like
honest.
it's like
Most
it's
of
either
us has
because
done it.
people
Most of us has
haven't
done it.
watched it.
We've all complained about a show we never fucking watched. We all done it.
Yeah,
Don't be
but
guilty.
a lot of people just dislike it because it's everywhere. They're
Yeah,
like the things in everything. so I can't like it because it's being shoved down my throat. Mm.
You know, by that logic, I would totally despise Doctor Who. I don't care about Doctor Who, still won't, but I'm not gonna flat out shit on it. But yeah,
Like I watch Doctor
to
Who,
me,
but I'm not going to shove it down a person's throat.
yeah, like well, I did suggest the show to a friend of mine. And it really is easy to sell it to him because he'll think anything is. He'll think he doesn't watch a whole lot of anime. He watches anime, but he's not up to trends like I am. I'm probably the only guy in my group of friends in my local town who's up to the trend, who's still like following the trends and stuff. So it's easy to surprise him. I mean, I marathon painting Stocky in front of him, and he fucking fell in love with that show. So I was like, okay, you're definitely gonna get the same response out of Kill and Kill. Showed him the first two episodes, he loves it. He wants to see more of it. So it's really easy to sell it to him. Now I don't have that many. That's also because I don't have that many friends that are super cynical. If you have a snarky, cynical friend, just ignore him. Just don't ever bring up the show in front of him. That's my
Yeah,
advice.
it's too cool for me.
Yeah.
It's too mainstream. It's on the level of Naruto and Bleach and One Piece.
Boy, I disagree with that so hard. With Kill a Kill.
I
Um,
know, but I'm just saying that because that has been some arguments for people. It's like I don't like this show because it's too mainstream. I'm a hipster anime watcher. I
I only
only
watch
rewatch. I only
obscure
watch.
shows like Ultimate Girls, you know, stuff with a lot of stupid fan surf into it. I only watch
uh,
Queen's Blade. I don't know if there's actually fucking hipster anime fans who watch shows that edgy heavy. My god, could you believe there was such an individual like that? I'm only into green.
my early days of anime consisting watch of Girls Bravo, Deers, Green, and
I did.
Showbiz.
Oh, that's horrible. Chobits wasn't as bad as those shows you listed early in there.
No, I'm just listing shows I watched when I was 13.
Oh, okay.
my early anime my early anime life is not as refined as you think. I watched everything I could get a hold of at the time.
Actually, dude, I was kind of the same way, dude. Um, except it was more Excel Saga, Gravion. Well, yeah, I did see the second season of Gravion. That's why that slipped in. Excel Saga, Azumanga Daioh, Slayers, mostly stuff ADV would advertise to me. I would pick up, and I would
Yeah.
some fan
My
subs.
friend said I had bad taste because at the time they were watching Naruto before it aired in America and Fruits Basket.
Okay, Fruits Basket I can understand, but dude, first off, those people. How did any of your friends like turn on a hat when it got licensed? Because I actually had some
No.
friends who portrayed Bleach just on the grounds that it got licensed by Viz, it's airing on Toonami. I don't like it anymore. Because you got those types of hipster
One of my
animals.
friends fully embraced Naruto's coming over here.
Good for
He
him.
got mad because I said the first episode was mediocre.
The first episode was mediocre.
Yeah. He's like, you gotta wait for it to build up. You just it's gonna change.
Man, I don't want to. Yeah, I have to wait 50 episodes for it to get good. That's lame. Well, now that we're on that subject, why don't we talk about the stuff we actually didn't like about Kill la Kill? I'll start by saying it does fall into a lot of shonen traps.
Yeah.
I mentioned the villain fake out, but I also want to mention something that really pisses me off. It's the over explanation of your pseudoscience bullshit after you did your attack. Um, one example. I'm just gonna pull out one example I didn't like. But at the final episode, Gamagori decided to shield Mako from being stabbed by Nui. And he gets hit in the chest, and people thought he was dead. I called bullshit because if he did die, they would definitely dwell on that scene more because Gamagori was actually a pretty popular and well known character. So I knew he was going to come back, and he did his Gurren Lagann thing. But before he did that, he actually explained how he survived, and he explained it for 10 seconds longer than he should have. He should have just said, "Oh, I'm just wearing. I wore titanium under my uniform." But the way he explained it just sounded like it dragged on for a while, and that
No, no, it
irritates
didn't
me.
sound like he had titanium under his uniform. He made sense. I have titanium under my skin.
Under his skin?
It's like I have titanium on right now, and I'm like, it's like he says I still have it, but I'm like, but I can see your. Oh, it's like he had an iron plate in his chest, which is why he still bled.
Ah, okay. Thing is, though, even if they didn't if they just showed it and not had to explain it, I would have been okay with it. You know, show not tell. That's a proceed. That's a
Use your imagination.
yeah. Tokuger. But but even if they didn't explain that, I could buy that Guy Magori being a disciplined dude who's learned to deal and receive punishment, that he could take a stab to the stomach, even if they didn't explain that. But they also did other things, like they had to explain Inamuta attacking a bunch of fucking astral projections, even though he was just a holographic projection himself. That was not necessary. Couldn't just say, like, the
I'm
show.
pretty sure that in itself was him just ego boosting.
Ah,
Like, look at all this stuff I can do. I'm an amazing, despite the fact that I'm not actually fighting.
yeah. But yeah, it does that. Now, episode fights and episodes did not drag on too long, which is good because it's a 24 episode series. In fact, to me, I think the longest fight, if I'm keeping track, I think the longest fight that happens was the finale, and I thought the Ryuko versus Jakazuri fight was also pretty long, but it wasn't super long. So yeah, um, God, what else I didn't like? I mentioned the lack of a rematch between Sanagiyama and Ryuko. Um, but I think that's all I can mention. I am looking for stuff I didn't like about the show, which goes to show you how much I like it. So I am trying to be
I think
fair, but like I said, I'm actively looking for stuff that bugged me. But there wasn't much that bugged me.
I've already said my two things that bugged me was the fact that the finisher instead of the microphone could have been a lot better, and the fact that Ryuko constantly was making excuses on reasons to not fight or to not use Sengetsu or things like that.
Yeah,
For a person who doesn't think when they act, they sure don't
act.
overthink things.
Well, those are my thoughts on Kill la Kill. I know the show got licensed by Aniplex of America, which means their DVDs are going to be an arm and a leg.
It also means it'll get put on Netflix.
It might get put on Netflix. If it doesn't, if it gets put on Netflix before I buy it, then I'm just going to watch it there. Um, I'll probably enjoy whatever English dub they'll pump out with it. I won't have any issues with the cast, I hope. Um, it might take some time because usually I get so used to the Japanese voice acting to the point where when you do dub it, it almost feels like an actor's being replaced, and you know that whenever a voice actor gets replaced, even if the person they replace is actually better, sometimes it does bug me. It's almost an OCD thing with me when it comes to
For me,
replacement
it's
voice
on the
acting.
long lines of if I start watching it either subbed, I have to finish watching it subbed, or if I start watching it dubbed, I have to finish watching it dubbed.
Hmm.
It's one of the reasons why I can't watch any of the Evangelion movies subtitled.
Same here.
I have to watch them all dubbed, which means I have to wait like 4 years for a new one to come out.
But whenever I see a show getting subbed or dubbed, to me, to most people, I bet it feels like a voice actor is being replaced entirely, even though they're just really translating for another language. Um, God, the reaction towards the Madoka English dub back when it came out was so fucking unnecessary.
I
Uh,
still haven't even seen it.
yeah.
I was like, it's no need.
But when it does come out on Blu-ray, I'm definitely gonna pick it up there. If it's not too expensive, I'll just have to find a way to save money. Um, if you haven't seen this show, well, we spoiled everything to you. But if you don't care either way, then it's still on Crunchyroll. Yeah, you
If
can
you
just
just
check it
want
out
some
there.
good old mindless entertainment, there you go.
Yeah, even though for a show that's supposed to be mindless fun, I did end up enjoying the plot and taking it a little too seriously at times. But I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But for me, I freaking love this show start to finish. So yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Well, until September 3rd,
mm-hmm. Which
we'll.
which is a day after Danganronpa 2 gets released, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like part of me is just bummed they made a preview for it. Here's a preview for episode 25. Enjoy waiting 6 months. We.
Well, that's all we gotta say. Dark Scream 217 signing out.
Windsor, catch you later.